Well, good evening, everybody. It's Friday, it's 10:05, and what a week it's been. I know, it only seems like a week. Firstly, before we get too carried away, you're watching the 18% Grey Show, Part 6. I know what you're thinking. If you've just looked at the Twitch page and gone, but last week was part 4. Actually, I think that was actually part 5 and has been misnamed. So don't worry about it. Tonight, it is definitely part 6 as far as I know. Unless I have been abducted by aliens as well. But that's another story. Anyway, like I said, what a week. No great story begins with I had a sellout. And in my case, things went pretty good after last week's stream. I managed to download it, download all the comments, and create a video and upload it to YouTube. So it's also sitting there for posterity. I've also learnt, because, newbie mistakes, that you can actually save your Twitch stream after you've recorded it. You just need to set it as a highlight and make the whole stream the highlight. Now, what the hell? Of all the boneheaded decisions I've ever seen, that's got to be one of them. Apart from, doing all the other things that Twitch are doing with their streamers, like abolishing the 70-30 split. I mean, that's been quite comical to watch that erupt over the internet and YouTube. But as I'm not even an affiliate, it doesn't even affect me. So why should I care? Right now, the platform is fine. It kind of does what I want while I'm still finding my way around. And I'm sure eventually I'll probably just end up dual streaming on both Twitch and YouTube. Anyway, I have a feeling that we started to wander, but as I said, last week's stream, all great. Sunday, I decided to pay a long-awaited visit to IKEA. Yes, I know, Swedish flat-pack furniture. Oh, what an experience. No, in all honesty, it was good day out. And everything was fine. I did discover that the display cabinet I've got has probably been designed by somebody with a pact with Satan, because to try and assemble that thing is a nightmare. I really am convinced you have to sell your soul to the devil to be able to assemble that cabinet correctly and not have your door looking a bit skewed. But like I say, enough about cabinets. You didn't come here to watch a live stream about me talking about cabinets. But like I said, for the third time, what a week. Because Monday morning, I was taken ill. I seemed to have picked up a kind of sick bug virus, which wasn't very nice, and I ended up being off work for most of this week, recovering. Monday and Tuesday, I was pretty much asleep for most of both days. Wednesday, I was only just starting to feel a bit better, but very, very weak. So I didn't really do much of anything, just sat on the couch or slept on the couch while my wife was watching YouTube videos, and I'd mostly fall asleep during them. So here we are at Friday, and I'm feeling better now. I'm on the mend. Tea and coffee taste like tea and coffee, and I've been able to eat food and not lose it in the other direction. We won't say any more about that. Let's just say that Imodium tablets are God's gift in these situations. They just need quite a few of them to do their magic. But as I said, now I'm feeling a lot better. I think it's time to get back on the stream, and we'll carry on tonight with some editing. Obviously, because of what's happened, I'm not sure if this is going to be a 3-hour sort of regular stream. I may possibly look at cutting it short around midnight. We'll play it by ear and see. It all depends on tonight's images and how we get on. Anyhow, back to editing. So we're going to carry on with editing some more pictures from SecretCon, because believe you me, I still have got quite a few to get through. And what we shall do is let's switch to the live scene. So you can see I'm alive and kicking. We have a new video background and some slightly different music. I figured let's just spice it up a little bit. And just noticed some drop frames there. I'll keep an eye on that through the course of this stream. But, you know, to be honest, I expect this. I am connected by Wi-Fi. I don't have a long enough cable to connect direct to the router at the moment. So let's get down to where we were last week. So let's just bring up Lightroom. And I think I remember talking about some of these pictures at the time. Go in the right direction. Yeah, there was a couple of these pictures that, in my opinion, I don't know, I may not edit those tonight. I don't sort of feel 100% happy with those. Now, where we left off last week was with Bombshell Becky Cosplay, I mean. I hope I got that right. And before you're thinking, he started on the Stellar early. Water, that's it. Tea and water, that's just going to be all I'm drinking tonight. Taking it easy. Been feeling, you know, I say, when you've been feeling fragile for most of the week, the last thing you want to do is hit a can, and next thing you know, you've set yourself back again. So we're going to start with my friend Carolyn Smith and Kasuna Cosplay, and she came to SecretCon as Merida from Brave. Now, she did mention that this was slightly different coloured dress from the one she was, I think, expecting, and the wig was also different, but it was a case of this is what she had, so it's what she brought with her, and we just went with that. First time we've actually had to do a proper shoot together, so, you know, it was nice to actually spend some time chatting with her and then just go through a few shoot ideas. I honestly wished I'd thought of more, because since this shoot, I've seen some amazing looking pictures, you know, cosplay pictures from Brave, and I think, damn, I wish I'd thought about that more on the day. But, you know, that's a bad one on me. I should have thought about it more, but I was kind of going quite free and easy, and I wasn't trying to crank through as many cosplayers as some of the other photographers were. You know, I just wanted to take things easy, work at my own pace, and just sort of see what happens, rather than trying to chase all of the best cosplayers around when there's much stiffer competition for them anyway. So let's take a look in Lightroom. Okay, it's not too bad. ISO 320, that's not too bad. I mean, there's something about distance, even if we crop it in a little bit, that shouldn't be too bad. So exposure wise, I think we're good. we'll just add a little bit of texture. Don't need to use too much because it's not a very close-up picture. And I always like to desaturate my pictures a bit, so that's kind of how I roll. And no, I don't think we need to do anything with shadow areas. What we'll also do is we're sharpening. We're just going to adjust the area that's being affected. That should be fine. And noise reduction, we will just about 15. Yeah, that looks fine. So let's get this into Photoshop and start knocking it into shape. Okay, so we're in Photoshop. First thing to do, duplicate the layer, and we'll just deactivate the background layer. Reason I do this is just so that if I make a mess of the first layer, I can always go back to the background, duplicate it again, and just see where we go from there. Now, looking at the picture, first sort of thing I'm thinking of, we need to clean up layer. We need to do something about this worn ground here. I'd like to think that in this environment it's a perfect kind of lakeside view. Okay, the water doesn't look particularly great. I wouldn't be drinking out of it, that's for sure. You know, I mean, that's much more like my idea of water than that murky stuff. But let's add a cleanup layer, and you haven't seen this stream before. This is the sort of thing I typically do. Just allows me to keep track of what each layer does. So when I need to turn things off and on, I can work out, you know, at a glance more what's going on. And I'm switching to the wrong tune, which will be in Photoshop. Just pay no attention. I'm completely looking across different streams at the moment. So hopefully that, yeah, we tested that, it's fine. So I think what we want to do is let's take the clone stamp tool, increase the opacity, change that to current and below. And let's just increase the size of this area. Let's get a sample point here. There. And say we're just randomly painting in or at least filling in the areas that are a little worn. Again, this is another fairly common technique that we use to remove distractions. Also, build up the area. Now, I know you're thinking there, that's overlapping. That's fine. I wouldn't worry too much about that. We expected a little bit. A few telltale little stray areas here and there that we might want to just take those out a bit. Just have a move around, and again, you know, wherever we see the slightly bare patch, we'll just move our selections around a little bit. Not as many points you can kind of pick from around here, so just keeping fairly random. Zoom out, and we just take the layer off. And you can see we kind of cleaned up that area by the lake, which I think is okay. But obviously you notice that we've actually painted over part of the dress, but we can fix that. That is not a problem. Because what we'll do, we'll take this layer, duplicate it again. We'll just turn off that cleanup layer for a second. And we will do select subject. And we're using the cloud option, as that should yield a more detailed result. And we will just quickly zoom in. You can see it's not bad. Just a few tiny areas that we need to just add in. So literally we're just going to just draw around these areas a bit. And just include them in the overall selection. And just to be sure, we're just going to move down And again, it's just few tiny little areas. And this is where all the fiddly work goes. And as you can see here, we'll probably end up doing a bit more cleanup on this, but yeah, by and large, I think that's pretty good. Again, we just need to and it's just a little bit along this edge. Still a bit quiet in the chat. Obviously, it depends on who's picking up the stream with the photography tag. We may end up having one or two people possibly viewing. Okay, so looking at that overall, that's fine. I'm not too fussed about very last minute little stray hairs. They're okay. We've got the majority of it. Just cleaning that out. That's okay. So now that we have that, let's apply a layer mask. And we'll take that whole there and we'll move that up. Except when, like, Photoshop, in its infinite wisdom, likes to think it knows what it's doing. So let's just zoom out there. And we'll just add those two there. And that's our merge background, complete with bad spelling. That's better. I don't want someone telling me off that you spelt your layers incorrectly. There's bound to be someone who will say that. So what we have now is our background layout's being cleaned up and merged. We also have our subject Carolyn separated from the main background. So we're going to take a quick look and see if there's any other fix-ups that need to be done. Now, given that 200%, let's assume 100%. That's not too bad. I don't think we really need to try sharpening it because the picture itself is going to be sort of a wider shot, which will probably crop it down a little bit. Just quickly grab a cup of tea that I need to finish as well. Keep that nearby. Always good to have a good cuppa. So, looking at this, we could have a look and see what this might be like if we were to sharpen it. It won't do any harm. Plus, it gives me a chance to show off what this software can do. And it is very impressive. Right, I'm just going to let it decide on its own what it thinks is the appropriate sharpening model to use. Actually, no, I haven't done that. It would help if I actually looked at what I was clicking there. Motion blur, very noisy. Okay. And if you're seeing some drop frames, won't be surprised if Topaz is behind hammering the PC again. Okay, so that's updated. Now, one way we can do, we'll do a split view. And it does add a little bit of sharpness to it, which isn't too bad. Because we've got a layer mask on, I'm not going to bother too much with selecting or adding a blur to it. So let's add that. What we'll do, just show the side by side view. Which it probably will be struggling to do right now because I'm hammering it a bit. Oh yeah, you can definitely see the background jumping around a little bit there. So we'll just go back to single view, let it do its thing, which hopefully won't take very long. And then what we'll do is we'll get on to one little bugbear that, well, I think one or two that Carolyn had with the costume and see if we can do something about fixing it. Right, so we now have a much sharper 200%. You know, we're in the realms of slight pixelation, but really you're not going to look at a picture this close. So just going to go back out there. So we've now just sharpened it up a little bit. But there was something that we were chatting about, and Carolyn did mention that she didn't like particularly the colour of this costume because it wasn't really quite the right colour. And I know she brought a wig that, I think that might even be an older wig. I'm not quite sure what she said back at the time. It was just the best that she had at the time and could press it into service. And as I'm sure most cosplayers will tell you, sometimes you get great wigs and you can get some pretty awful wigs. And if it's a short notice thing and your decent wig is starting to fall apart, you take out your emergency backup wig, and it might not always be the best, but we'll see what we can do with it. See if we can improve on things. So, now that she mentioned that the costume, the color wasn't quite right. So what I'm doing is we're just having a quick look, just doing a Google search on some of the Merida cosplay pictures and costumes that are currently out on the market or that have been made by people, just so we can have a quick look and see what we're really expecting. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of variation. I mean, if you look at Amazon, really, that's not even remotely close to the color. But a lot of costume manufacturers will use very similar fabrics for nearly every cosplay. There'll be same color used. For example, this color here, I've seen that used in quite a lot of different cosplays. Not very much difference in shade. Let's say if we take a look at this, for example, this is sort of, I think, fairly close to what I would be expecting from a more live action cosplay point of view. This one obviously looks quite a lot darker. It's much darker sort of green. Again, the greens and that sort of vary. The thing to bear in mind is ultimately we're copying an animated character, and they will have chosen the colors very specifically so that they work together with the backgrounds. And, you know, looking at this, for example, that's kind of a slightly darker green. To be honest, anything in the kind of the darker green, darker sort of bottle green would work. You know, it'll fit in well within a woodland scene, which is ideal. So, with that in mind, let's go back and take a look at what we're actually working with. Now, you might notice that doesn't look anything like green. In fact, it's a darkish, it's quite a dark blue. So I can understand that, you know, Carolyn wasn't totally happy with it, but hopefully with the power of Photoshop or Grayskull or both, we might be able to fix that. And hopefully it's actually a very, very easy fix. So just zoom out a little bit. And what we'll do is we're going to pick a hue saturation layer. I'm going to make sure that that only applies to the subject. And then I'm going to click on the hand icon. And now we have this handy dandy eyedropper tool. And we can click and sample a color. And you notice that straight away. It's decided that it's blue. So and I've chosen a 5x5 average rather than a single spot point. We just want to get an average point within that. So I'm going to just zoom out ever so slightly. And the next thing we need to do is to see which color is being affected. So that what we'll do, we'll just go straight out to there, 100%. I mean out to our full screen view. You wouldn't think I haven't streamed for a week. I'm really messing up my words today, and I'm not even drinking alcohol. But we should be pretty good here. The one thing we want is just to make sure that it's only the dress that's being affected. So what we need to do is drag these control points. This is the feathered edge, and that's the hard stop of the color range. So you can see it'll feather out from blue into a pink, so it doesn't appear to be affecting any of the skin tones. So we should just be able to apply the adjustment purely to the blue area. What we need to do is just get rid of that there. And to do that, I'm just going to grab this tool and move it back a little bit. And if you notice there, I zoom right in, you see how that is just starting to change. And we just need to bring that back into it as clean as we can get it. Now the top of the bow isn't visible, so that's the only bit we need to clean up. So hopefully we should now be able to make a change to the dress. And I'll leave the saturation at 100 just so you can see what happens when we grab the hue slider. You should see a change. I say should. I think this is only the second time I've tried this, so, and the first time it worked. But as you know, on a stream, you can guarantee if it's going to go wrong, it'll go wrong while you're going live. Let's just take the lightness up as well. In fact, I swear that's... that might be why I'm... Let's just try that again. Okay, so we can leave that a little bit there. And let's try grabbing that slider. And seeing if it makes a difference. And I can always say that I can't actually see any difference. That's awkward. Anyway, that's what these things are all about. Experimentation, and sometimes things don't always go to plan. What we'll do, we'll just get rid of that. So it's applying only to a specific range. It could be because it's a very, very dark and it's really struggling. So we'll try that again. Oh yeah, now we're getting some movement. I think the range there was just a little too tight. So, just so we can have a quick reminder, we're kind of looking at a colour that's kind of in this region. Sort of more of a, like I say, kind of a drab olive green or bottle green. That's really kind of where we're aiming for. Now, obviously, because of materials and fabrics that are used, they're not going to always look 100% correct. And even when you apply some kind of color correction, it might still look a little bit off, but it'll be a hell of a lot closer than wood, as I'm going to show you now. So, leaving the saturation at 100%, let's drag the slider over. Let's just see what happens. You know, you ever fancy the red dress? Guess what? You've got one now. Kind of veering into sort of a yellowy, greeny yellow, which isn't quite what I want. Purple looks nice, but again, it's not really the correct color. And as you see, we're shifting through the blues, and now you see how we got into the green. So we could say, let's say, what happens if we stop at that green, minus 74, we take the saturation down, so it's not a very bright green. You might actually pull it down a bit more. And while we're at it, let's just take the lightness down a bit. This effectively make it look a little darker. I say want to, yeah, actually. Let's leave that at 0. So now, turn that off. You see, well, actually, you probably can't actually see that now, but we're going from a very sort of dark blue. You've now shifted more towards green, and that looks a lot more harmonizing color with the rest of the background. So that's our first little adjustment. Now there's one other thing we can do. What I'm going to do here though first is call this dress color. There's one other thing that Carolyn did mention, and it was also the wig. Now we're going to take a look and see if we can fix this using exactly the same method. So what we do, grab another hue saturation layer. And this time, again, we select a color around in that region. What we'll take and just check. Now we'll have to be careful when we make adjustments because you can see how it's affecting skin tones as well. So if you extend that out, that'll really. We don't have to pull the paint quite a bit in. Yeah, we're gonna need a little bit. Yeah, when it's that tight, it's only really going to affect the very outer parts. And I do want to sort of make these colors a little more richer. Although there's another way we could do it. Tell you what, let's just try. Let's see if we can, yeah. Let's add a vibrance layer. Turn that off for a second. Now vibrance tends to boost all of the colors that are present, so it won't add colors that aren't there. As you see, we take the vibrance out, we start to go more towards the black and white, and if we go a little too strong, so we could say boost the vibrance a bit and maybe take the saturation up a little bit. So we've pumped up the vibrance and saturation, but we've applied it to the whole image. Now that might not be a bad thing. All depends on, as you can see, as soon as you add that in, it does add a little more punch. But I plan to treat the background a little differently for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to invert that layer, and then using a brush, let's just use a soft round brush for this one. Should be no settings needed on that. Take the size down a little bit, and take the opacity. That no, what we'll do, make that 100%. We'll play around with the opacity afterwards. Okay, so that's 100. You can see straight away the difference. Now, as we get to smaller areas of hair, this is where we want to just use a smaller brush. What we don't want to do is make too much of an effect over the clothing. So it's only really the hair that we're trying to change. And there is a little bit of speckling in there. Now that could be from topaz, possibly, but this is at 200%. In all honesty, you won't notice this. Although I'm curious to know where that's actually coming from, so let's just take that. Ah, that's where it's coming from. Right, so in dress color, I wonder if we can actually re-edit that. We just sample. That's the range it's picking up. Let's see what happens. Right, let's just undo that so not. Okay, so that. Just rub that point in. Let's see if we can. It's all part of trial and error. So I'm going to try that one again. So what I'll do, I'm just going to deactivate that, and let's go add another hue saturation there. Because whatever it is, yeah, we're definitely picking up some stuff from the pinks. And this time we know. We zoom into the hair. No, it shouldn't be. Shouldn't be as many speckles in that. So let's see if that gives us enough of a range. Yes. Oh yeah, we've got it there. So we might say it was about 70 Thor. And then we'll take the saturation down. That's what we'll do. No, that's the one I wanted. No, we'll get rid of that one. Right, that's kind of where we were. I think that's one of those awkward things you get with this. Alright, we're switching to blues. Yeah, so if we go to brush color, $74, $75, that's what we wanted to see. That's a lot better. You don't have any weird speckling appearing. And as you can see, the dress is actually more of a green now. So, mission accomplished. We fixed. So, let's get rid of that layer. And then we'll... Okay, what happened there? Oh, right, that was our attempt at the... Yeah. That was using hue saturation to affect the hair color, which you can do. But you can also use vibrance and saturation with a layer mask to achieve the same result. So as you can see, we've now got a much brighter red head. And that's our scene. So what we need to do next is let's take a look at the background and let's do some color grading and play around with our favorite curved layers. So let's add a curved layer. Now with this we could just say grab the middle and go, oh, let's just pull the background a touch. Yeah, we could darken that up, and you notice how as soon as you darken, it does tend to saturate a lot more. I wouldn't go too bright, like I said, I wouldn't go in that region. I'd like to take it down a little bit there. And while we're at it, let's see what happens when you take the reds out of the background. Ooh, yeah, that's not ideal. Let's grab that and just... Yeah, we just want to pull the red down a touch. Not a lot. Let's have a look at green. Obviously that's far too green. We're taking the green out of the greens. That's something you'd be thinking, why would I be doing that? Maybe things are a little too green, but I'd say almost leave that where that is. But what we'll do is we're going to lift that green level a bit. No, let's bring that down. I think you can see my thought processes are all based on set some sliders, move things around and see what actually happens. Again, if we take out the blue, we start to really enhance the greens. Might just apply a slight S curve. So you can see that's without any curves applied. And that's with. And it was just making it a little more richer, lush green. It's not a massive adjustment, but you know, sometimes you don't need much. Could then again take the green. As you see, as soon as you pull the green down a touch, the ground starts to show up as lots of more dirt coloured, which actually I don't want this time. Just gone through all this trouble to just gonna undo that and leave that where it is. So we didn't really change green. Put down red a tiny bit. And we did pull down the RGB brightness over that hole there. So I'm going to do something about that. Won't be too dramatic, but just sort of bring things into balance a little better. So we have made our first sort of adjustments on the background. So what we can look at now is at the overall picture. We could look at adding, let's see, a color lookup for a change. And we might go for something like film stock 50 DL. Let's try that. Now, that's like, oh, yikes. That's pretty strong, but we look at going through our blending modes. Very contrasty. If we choose soft light and just take the opacity down, you notice how you only need a very small amount. This is one of the things when you're using lookup tables, you know, you'll often pull faces at them when you apply them because they're always applied at 100%, which really shows you the full strength of the lookup table. But we only really want to be using very subtle amount. So if I say use 12% there, you can see how I'm toggling that off and on. That's only changing very slightly. And let's say I want to add another. Let's try soft warming look. Now that gives you, I'd say, a very sort of old school film photo look. It's muted the colours quite a bit. Let's see if we pick, say, fall colours. Now that adds quite a bit there. Well, actually, let's try edgy amber. Now that's quite strong, but again, we're just applying a very small amount. And you can see it's mostly affecting the greens, but then the majority of this scene is pretty much green. Just going to run through at this point some options, see what we like the look of and what we think, you know what, that might be too much. So edgy amber, go for a crisp warm look. Not as easy to see this one being applied. Oh, actually, yeah. You really kind of got to pay attention to that look. Let's try late sunset, maybe. Because we've got so much green, it almost feels like you want to add possibly another colour boost. Let's try throwing in some edgy amber, I think. I'll go out for soft light. And let's take that down. As you can see, it's very, very subtle. But what we'll do is we'll take those 3 layers, put them in a group, and we'll call it color grade. And if we enable all 3 now, I'll show you a before and after. It's definitely a bit contrastier. I'm sort of wondering if to take some of these down a little bit down. So that's one kind of color grade we could play with. You can also use, actually, that's a good point. I didn't think about gradient maps, but then you're really going to be applying a choice of green. Tell you what, let's try oh, that's not going to work. this, what we need to do is we'll pick that as a colour, and then let's pick, do we use the dark green or do we use this light green maybe? Let's do that. Green to that colour. Could be interesting. Switch those round. I bet you I've got them wrong. Let's apply a gradient map instead. Okay. That doesn't. Soft light, wide. Very, very tiny difference. Say 20%. Let's go to our curves layer. And we're going to use a curves layer as an overall adjustment. So just pull our green down a little bit. We want to raise. Yeah, I don't want that high. Maybe just push the reds a little bit. And just get our blue slightly boosted. So it's another form. Let's see actually how they combine. More rapid. Let's just check that we're not affecting our skin tones too much. That's fine, that's kind of like lifting that up a little bit. The color grade. I think is a little contrast here. As soon as you apply that, you lose a little bit of detail, or at least what detail there is that you can see. And it's sort of not sure on the color cast on that, so I don't think we're going to use that. But I think that between a gradient matte and that's kind of where we're going, I think. So we're going to take that and get rid of those. And I would say at this point, that's the image more or less done. Just want to double check though, I've not. Actually, no, what we'll do is grab all the layers. So call it the final layer. Okay, now. You can see going back. That's what we started with. And as you can see, we had a lot of ground here that is pretty worn, tired. All the people tramping across there, fishing and stuff. And we wanted to clean that area up. So we did use Photoshop tools to kind of rebuild a bit of the grassland. It isn't perfect, but it doesn't need to be, because you're not really going to be looking at the grass. You're meant to be looking at the person here and their surroundings. From that, we applied an awful lot of adjustments, because we started off with a dress that was actually blue. And we've now shifted it towards green, and it blends in much more with the overall greenness of the scene. So I would say at this point it's a good time to save. So let's make sure that's saved. And now that's saved, let's take a break. So go get yourself a nice drink if you're watching, and if you're watching, drop your name and say hi in the chat. We'll be back shortly. See you soon. And we're back. Welcome to part 2 of the 18% ratio. Part 6. Yes, I'm getting it right. It is part 6. Well, it's nearly 11:30 p.m. It's obviously a Friday night. It's obviously quiet in the chat because there's no one there. But, you know, I'm used to talking to myself and chatting general rubbish. So when you watch this on the replay, you'll think, what on earth was he on about? So, getting back to photo editing. Where do we start? That is the... well, it isn't. That was the original image. Not the best, I might admit. You know, when it comes to scrappy ground and stuff, but it's what we had. We cleaned it up. And we then fixed the dress colour, made the wig pop a little bit more, and kind of just sort of harmonised and brought it all together a little bit better. And just sort of lifted the shadows of the green slightly. So it does have that kind of cast, greeny cast, which you normally wouldn't want to see, but I know a lot of photographers do tend to use that as part of their look, and I'm kind of still experimenting. I don't have a particular look, as you might have seen through the course of doing this edit. You know, I treat every picture as an individual item and figure out where we go from there. So without further ado, let's crack on and get on with our next image from the set. Now, we did do quite a bit, and there were two I like. And I'm sort of not sure out of these two. I kind of like this one, but you do get to see a bit more of the dress here. This is kind of, well, to be honest, both these areas are very dominant, but what the scene where we were setting up while doing this shoot was, I told Carolyn to, put yourself in the mind of Merida. You're walking through the woods on a path. As you come near a bush, you can hear voices near the lake. You don't want to burst out there and for people to see you, because you don't know who they are, and you need to do a quick check on them. So you kind of sneakily move along the bushes and just sort of watch and see what's going on. So we're trying to create a kind of a scene here. And knock that in. Well. So, like I say, judging. That was the one I think we went for. Yeah. So let's just quick check. That's not too bad. A little bit sharper, I think. Sometimes it's not much in it. In fact, I'm just going to say that's the one I'm going to do. So, I'm just going to desaturate a little bit. No, I don't really need any noise reduction on that. So let's get this open in Photoshop. Now, at least in this case, we don't need to worry about fixing the ground and getting rid of all the dirt patches. So that makes things a little bit easier. And hopefully this should not take too long. But then again, whenever I say that, you know what happens. Something's going to go wrong. But we'll see what happens. So just taking a quick look at that. I'm just looking if there's anything distracting. That is slightly distracting, but at the same time, it gives a sense of depth, and you want the eye to be drawn towards this direction. Like, she's looking at something over this side here. We can't see what it is, but she's heard some voices, and she's looking curious about what's going on there. So let's see if first thing we'll do is we can just sharpen that up a tad. It's not the end of the world if we don't. We'll soon find out. So if you're watching, Carolyn, sorry that we've zoomed in on your face, and you'll be going, oh my god, what's he doing? Yeah, the frame drops are definitely occurring. When Topaz is working, so that's useful to know. It must be absolutely hammering the see, that's a 50%. What I'm checking for is just to see now. Let's see if we can work out where the subject is. This would be fun. Well, judging by that mask there, probably hard to say, really. Actually, no, looking at where that is, yeah. So let's apply that. This shouldn't take too long. Well, we're definitely getting some lag there. If you're watching this, don't worry. There's only about 5 seconds or so of computing time at least to get Topaz to finish its job. But it is quite intensive, as you can probably see. And this is with a Ryzen 9 5900X and 32 gig of RAM. So it is getting hammered a fair bit. It's certainly enough, but it's causing some playback issues. Although I've only had 64 drop frames since I've started, and we've been on the air for about just over an hour and a half. Yes, this is probably making it really earn its money here. And of course, as I work in IT, I'm often used to spending most of my life watching progress bars moving. Yay. Well, chat still looks very quiet. Maybe people have got better things to do. But I hope that if you watch this on the replay, that you enjoy it. And if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and I have a Discord server. And all the details are in the About page on the Twitch page for this stream. 25 seconds. Come on, it didn't take that long, I'm sure. But then those 25 seconds are like, definitely hogging the processor a bit. Next time this happens, I'm going to open up. There we go. We seem to be back up, and we've dropped a lot of frames now. So I can safely say that the bit rate and all that drops quite dramatically. On that note, let's have a quick zoom in. There we go. That's not bad. There's no strange artifacting or anything I can see, so we're good. Now, it's not really. Do you know what? Actually, let's just try a cleanup layer on that, because that leaf there is kind of bugging me slightly. Actually, hold on. Let's take a look. Let's just take let's output that to a new layer. No, as you can clearly see a line. That's far too busy a texture to do that, so we'll just get rid of that. And let's try home stamping and see if we can pick an area like here. There we go. That's better. So, happy with that. So what should we do next? Well, I think the first thing we want to do is coming back to our original. We might not apply all of the changes. But what we will do is we'll take the dress color and vibrance over first. Let's just see when we pick dress color. See that then? Instant change. Now vibrance, that's going to be something we need to change, so just add another layer mask, and in this case let's just zoom in a bit. Take the brush down a bit. Actually, let's make sure we've actually selected the brush tool, because that would help. And we're just going to just go over the areas of the hair. And as you can see, this is the original wig colour, and we're now painting on a vibrance and saturated layer onto this. Obviously we need to be a little careful in the cap, any of the other parts of the costume. So I'm happy to leave a few because it blends, you can see there. Just want to get some of those hairs. And where it's behind something, I don't mind it staying its original colour a bit, because it's not like you're going to really notice, is it? Let's see what would happen if we just zoom it down. Not too sure. I think yeah. I'd say we go about that. So, what's next on the agenda? Well, we can do a tiny bit of cleanup, but what we'll do, we'll have cleanup where let's make sure we just reset our palette. Oh, I'm saying that. Oh, we've got the gradient map from that anyway. We may change it. Let's just say that opacity down about 50%. We're just looking to just little teeny tiny adjustments. Hope you're enjoying the music if you're listening. And if there is anyone listening, feel free to say hi. I don't bite. And it's always nice to have a bit of company, someone to chat to while you're working away. But you know, each to their own. No pressure. I'm not going to worry too much about hairs streaking across the eyes. You know, we're working outdoors here. You know, there's a thing called wind. And if you have hair, which I don't, it can play hell. So let's take a look. I think that's really much what we need. I can clean that up a tiny bit. Right, okay. So we're gonna clean up. At this point, we could just add a little frequency separation because we're a bit closer now. So I'm just going to deactivate that. I'm just going to take all of the layers. I'll have merge two. Yeah, quick check, see that's all okay. Now, what we'll do, let's get our actions. I'll say 6 pixels should do. And I'm going to use the clone stamp tool this time to current layer only. We'll leave the opacity about 59%. And we're now just going to zoom in and just make a few more little cleanups. Okay, not changing too much, just making one or two little. Let's go to the blur. Gaussian blur, 6 pixels. Just catch above the eyelid. And we'll do same on this side. And just trace around there. And then what we'll do, let's say set those, apply that. There we go, just evening out just a touch. Doesn't really need that much. I don't even think really we need to dodge and burn the hair, to be honest. We didn't do that in the last one, and that's also one of my favourite other techniques I always seem to use. So we've got our frequency separation done. And from there, take the last 2 layers over, drop these on. And let's just drop the curves there. Right, let's have a look and see. Okay, and he's kind of boosting the red a tiny bit. Take that down a bit. there we go. Now we may end up cropping that because we have got an awful lot of space here that doesn't really add anything to it maybe, but we'll save that anyway. In fact, I should actually have merged everything into a final layer, but that won't take long. So that's the original image that we shot on the day. And after we made some color adjustments from using the adjustments from the previous picture, we changed the dress color to a more sort of olive green color, which is more in harmony with the greenery. Obviously makes sense. A blue doesn't really work, to be honest. Makes you stand out too much, and this is more likely, much more like that sort of cosplay and characters colors there. And we also applied a vibrance layer with a layer mask and painted the wig and just give it a little bit of a boost. A little bit of a facial cleanup and a bit of frequency separation just to make it look good. And there you go. That's the final color grade. Just kind of lift the greens a little bit, but it's now starting to feel a little bit more filmic, which is kind of the look I like. We're fast approaching midnight, so we're going to just save that. And let's get on to our next edit from the set. So let's see, what were we looking at? Yes, that's definitely what we're going to play with. Check. Looks like my focus point may have been a tiny bit off, but we should be able to salvage that. It's kind of bad that I'm having to do that a lot. I'll probably have to run some tests on the D810, maybe recalibrate the lenses again, because it's possible that maybe they've drifted out slightly. Now I know some people might be saying, well, if you had a mirrorless camera you wouldn't have these problems. You want to bet? If you're a Nikon Z6, oh no. Oh boy, yeah. The focus on it isn't the greatest. You know, for the first generation eye autofocus, it misses way too many shots. I'd sooner have the D810, and to think that that was released originally in 2014, and at the time was packing a groundbreaking 36 megapixels in a full frame camera. It's not to be sniffed at. It's got the right weight and feel to it. I wish it was a bit lighter. I wish the live view was better. I also wish the Z6 focused better. It seems to do okay on single point center, but eye focus is not close to Sony in that regard. Anyway, all this chit chatter. Let's get some masking done. That's a 320. Yeah, we're good for noise reduction's okay. And we're not clipping. Oh, that's about the only highlight clipping we've got going there. That's fine. Not bothered about that. Shadow clipping. No, not even bothered. That's fine. Let's get that opened up. Duplicate that. And let's go some more drop frames. So, before I invoke this plugin, if you're watching this and you see the webcam stuttering, me frozen on screen, this will be the reason why. In fact, tell you what we'll do. Let's just bring this. Well, that's not a good place to put it. Let's put it up there above my head. Yeah, so you see I wasn't lying. I've got a Ryzen 9 5900, 12 cores, 32 gig of RAM. I'm running at 66% of RAM at the moment. Two 1 terabyte SSDs. And let's pick Topaz. While we're at it, let's just see what actually is going on with this machine. Out of focus, very noisy. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but that really looked like that just sharpened up then. That let's just change that to motion blur. And see if there's an improvement. That is very, very sharp. Also be too sharp. I wouldn't be surprised there's a lot of artifacts being created through this. Let's just go to motion blur normal. Although it's supposed to detect the optimum sharpening model, to use for it. I'd honestly say sometimes it can be a little too aggressive. Now, the hair texture there is a lot more, it's a lot smoother. And what we'll do is let's just also select our subject. So let's see what happens there. Actually, while we're doing that, we're not maxing out on RAM, and that's considering that we've got Photoshop, Lightroom, Topaz AI running, OBS Studio streaming, and Discord. 2 different web browsers. Encoding is overloaded. Okay, that's fine. Useful to know. Almost like everything competing at once. But we don't have to wait too long. And there we go. Hopefully. That looks fine to me, so let's just apply a quick cleanup layer to that. And let our clones down. Comments on below, Mike. Come on. Don't think it's really much. This particular picture, that's fine. I can live with that. Oh, actually, tell you what. One thing we can do is these little small dust blobs. Because if it's anything that you can guarantee will stand out on velvety fabric is picking up dust and hairs, lint, stuff like that. This is why I really should have a lint roller with me for things like this. So you can just go, obviously you speak with the cosplayer first, let them know that you're going to approach them, run the lint roller over just to make sure that there's little bits taken out. It saves you time in Photoshop later on. Plus, if it's somebody that you haven't worked with before, it's a good opportunity. It's a good way of sort of an icebreaker. Gets you to start sort of chatting away while you're just doing things as you're going along. Right, so we've done a cleanup layer. Let's just give a tiny bit of frequency separation. I don't think we'll need to do very much. In fact, I'd say probably just need to go straight to the blur layer, the lasso tool. I can find it. There you go. So let's just trace that around. And we're just going to gently trace around this part. Just see how that looks. Yeah. So what we do next is we go back and we'll take our vibrance and dress color and with vibrance we'll just get rid of that, continue that, invert it, brush tool, make that brush tool a bit bigger this time, just a little bit smaller. And we'll just apply our vibrance and saturation to the hair. And with that, and that's our adjustments for the hair. And then we just need to take the gradient map and curves. So we'll add the gradient map. Now if you're not sure what that's doing, we basically picked the sort of red colour of the hair and one of the lighter greens from some of the trees. And we've just applied that using soft light and reduced the opacity to about 20%. And we just applied our curves there. And I would say that is a finished image. So let's get that saved and crack on with the next one. Chat seems very quiet. Well, I was going to say this evening, well, but it's more like this morning now because it's Saturday morning here in the United Kingdom. So if you're watching internationally, it's now 15th of October. 15th of October, sorry. Getting my words all mixed up there. Now, let's have a look. Out of this set, what do we think of? There was a couple of these. I wasn't sure I would do this if I didn't have that house in the way, which is a shame. I mean, it's a beautiful house. I just should have moved a bit further down, but what you getting? Now I took a couple of shots. I was looking for one that I felt seemed right. And that's kind of okay. I really wish I hadn't cropped out the elbow there. It's a bit, you know. But sometimes it can't be helped. And I think on this occasion, I'm just going to say, sod it. I'm going to edit it for her anyway. Okay, so let's get down to Photoshop. Just do a quick check. Yeah, we're good for sharpness. That's acceptable. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a clean up layer on it now. With our clone stamp tool. Oh, actually, we should be using our healing brush tool. I mean, actually, no, we shouldn't. Oh, I think we're right with the clone stamp tool. That'll work. Plus, we've got the opacity dialed down a bit, so a little more forgiving. Okay, I'm just looking for a little things to clean up. It's not major. Yeah. So merge. Get into this a bit and see. I'm gonna go straight with the lasso tool. What I'm gonna do is just do that, because we've got the actual bowstring intersecting the face, so as we're doing that, okay, yeah, usual sun. Yeah, I didn't want to do that. Oh, I should have done. Should really have started them over here. Yeah, this tablet's having a... I think it's because I'm catching my edge of my finger along the bottom edge. But it's just very subtle. Well, that's all it needs to be, really. So we fixed. We've done a little bit of cleanup on the face. So you could probably just clean it up a bit, but that doesn't matter too much. I think we can get away with that. What we want to do now is pretty much take all these 3 layers, drop those on there. Let me just take that off. The vibrance, we just need to get rid of that. New layer mask. Insert that. Get our brush. And then we'll just start to paint in some of that more vibrant hair colour. So it's like a revitalization of a wig. And just use a bigger brush now because we've just gone round the outline a bit and just take down as we go into some of the more fiddly areas. Obviously, as we get down here, need to reduce the size of the brush a little bit. And just quickly tracing over some of these hairs, and we're just trying to keep the adjustments just apply. As you can see there, it's just started to change that ever so slightly, so be a little cautious. You know, the only thing we want here is for the hair itself to look more vibrant. The dress, we want to keep it that kind of colour, but not have parts of it suddenly standing out, because then, you know, it's obvious. Someone will tell that your brushwork with the tablet is not perhaps as precise as it could be. And just gonna finish off the top with the hair. And let's just zoom out to check. So we'll switch the vibrance layer off. You can see that's the original hair colour. Got that on place. Then we'll apply the gradient map. And I'll finish color grade. So let's get that saved. While we're at it, let's make sure, yeah, that has been saved. So let's go to Photoshop. I mean Lightroom. Oh, come on, Mike, you're definitely starting to flag here a bit. And that may be the point where I call it. So let's just have a look at what we've done tonight. Not a great deal considering the time that I've been on, but you know, this week has been a bit rough. But all in all, we've got at least 4 edits done and color corrected and color graded as well. And we did have some troubleshooting and, you know, problem solving as we're working along, which is always interesting to get involved in. And hopefully, if you're watching this, you know, it'll inspire you to try things out for yourself. This is a lot of how my approach is. It is a bit hit and miss, but I'll tackle things as and when they come. So, yeah, there were 3 features I said that I wasn't going to do. And then what was next on the line? Okay. Right. Just looking at who we've got next. Because of how long this would take. Probably take a little bit longer than I've got really time for this evening. So I'm going to call it for this stream, and thank you all for watching, probably on replay wherever you are. You've been watching the 18%. God, you know, I'm going to have to make a blooper reel. That is a good idea. I need to make a blooper reel of how many times I can't say the title of this stream. Now, I know some people might say you need a better title then, but if we just rewind a second, you've been watching the 18% Grey Show, Secret Con Edits, Part 6. That's right, it is Part 6. Part 7 may possibly happen tomorrow night, because the next section of images that are coming up are going to be from Genshin Impact. And we have a few ideas of things we want to try. So that's one of the things we might do. And if possible, I would also like for us to get some Witcher action happening. And I'll explain more about that in the next stream. So once again, I'm sorry it's a bit of a shorter stream than normal, but given the circumstances and how much work these pictures actually took to edit, which is more than I thought they would, I think it's a good point to call it. So once again, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you soon. Most likely tomorrow night, same time, same channel. Be there. Good night. Actually, good morning.